So there are a number of angles that we can take in regards to talking about the Edmonton Oilers and their loss in the 2025 Stanley Cup Finals. There are a number of ways we can dive into this conversation. We can speak about the commentary that Matthew Tkachuk had. We can talk about the future of some of these guys. We can talk about where they didn't show up. We can talk about who needs to get moved. There are a number of ways that we can dive into the Oilers post-2025 Stanley Cup Finals. But I wanted to start out at the very top. Because when it comes to the GOAT of our generation, a player who is so good that he could legitimately be entering the real GOAT conversation by the time his career is over, the captain of the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, when it comes to him, the comments that he had made after Game 6 were really interesting. And I'd highly recommend you go out there and listen to the full McDavid press conference. There's a 2-minute video about it on YouTube. The Oilers posted it on their own social media. But I found it interesting because of the vibes. You see, last year when the Oilers lost in Game 7 to Florida, it was a really emotional year. The second round series against Vancouver took a toll on a lot of these guys emotionally. Draisaitl said it pretty much straight up in the media that, yeah, that was a super emotional series and it really took a lot out of us. And I think it's clear to see that a lot of that momentum from the Vancouver series last year carried over into the finals, where the Oilers had themselves a 3-0 deficit. They were down with their backs against the wall. Connor McDavid had his emotional speech, and then the Oilers won 3 straight and dominated. Because they ended up losing Game 7 2-1. Super close, it could have gone either way, but the Oilers, they were 1 goal away from pulling off their miracle comeback. And it was like 50-50 down the middle throughout the series. First 3 games, Florida ends up taking it, and then in games 4, 5, and 6, Edmonton just started pulling their jock straps back on. They dominated, especially in that Game 6. The Oilers totally took control. They had all the momentum. The Panthers had their backs against the wall heading into Game 7, and then Connor McDavid and the Oilers lost. And you can tell that there was so much defeat mentally from McDavid in the press conference. He was sad. That was a really disappointed, gutted, emotionally charged guy that was not able to win. That Connor McDavid was not the same Connor McDavid that did the press conference yesterday after Game 6 in 2025. Because yesterday, Connor McDavid's press conference at the end wasn't really sad, it seemed. It was more defeated. And it was more of a muted defeated, where Connor McDavid just kind of spoke the truth to a lot of the microphones and a lot of the media members. Like, yeah, we lost to a really good team. They're a good team. They're a really good team. And he had to say it multiple times. A lot of folks asking him, like, oh, what was the difference here? What was that? What was this? And all that. And McDavid would constantly say, yeah, how many times do they have to say it? They're a really good team. The way it felt in the presser was that Connor McDavid, sure, while he may have been internally as defeated as he was last year, he was well easier in accepting it this year. Maybe because it's almost like he knew that his team didn't deserve it. Last year you could make that argument. Oh yeah, they clawed back from hell and they were knocking on heaven's door. They were right there. They were so close after coming back. And there's a lot of emotion there. Especially when you get so close and you end up losing, you miss it, you end up failing at the last second. They were 1 goal away. They lost 2-1 in Game 7 last year. This year, they lose in Game 6 5-1, and it's not even really close. They don't play their best hockey for any of this final series, and you acknowledge that, look, maybe for like 75% of the entire finals, Edmonton was either losing or getting outworked, getting outclassed, getting outplayed. And McDavid in the presser, there's an aura to him where it's like, yeah, he knows that. He knows that his team didn't deserve to win, that they didn't have a chance to win. And that's why he's not as emotionally distraught as he was last year. Here's a comment that Connor made in the media yesterday. We kept effing trying the same thing over and over again. Just banging our heads against the wall. Was that a shot at the coaching staff? Now here's the thing. This comment sounds nasty. If you just read the text on the screen, it's like, oh, I guess he's kind of mad. He threw a swear word in there. But if you watch the video, if you listen to how McDavid is speaking to these media guys, he's just kind of saying it as if it's a matter of fact. It's a regular old run-of-the-mill, like, yeah, that's what it is, man. We didn't really do well. Like, you talk about the stages of grief. Connor McDavid last year talking about how the Oilers lost and they ended up getting defeated in Game 7. That guy was going through, like, stage 1, 2, something like that. This Connor McDavid from yesterday, he's like stage 5. He's fully over it. And I know it's impossible to say that anybody will be feeling over it mere minutes after losing the Stanley Cup Finals. But McDavid, I mean, to be a part of a team that stinks, absolutely lays a whatever word you want to use in game number 5, and then lays an even bigger one, a double down, whatever word you want to use, in game number 6. To be a part of that 2 games in a row, it's like, yeah, maybe we didn't really deserve to win. And I think that's sort of not really defeatism. I think that's the wrong way to put it. I think it frames it in a way that implies that McDavid has a bad mental attitude or whatever. That's not the case here. It's more so just the realism. Accepting that the Oilers' systems were not working, that the Panthers had this incredible forecheck. They had guys throughout the entire lineup making things happen. They had goaltending that was stepping up as a really strong last line of defense. The Oilers didn't really have much of that. It's almost like last year the Oilers were running on pure emotion and adrenaline, and that got them past Vancouver. That got them tying things up in the Stanley Cup Finals. And then they ended up fizzling out at the worst possible time because they weren't able to get it done in Game 7. But that's not their fault. They got Bobrovski'd in Game 7 last year. This year, they got Bobrovski'd, yes, but they also let in a whole bunch of goals themselves. It's not like Stuart Skinner was holding up his end of the bargain. And so for Connor McDavid to take a shot at the Oilers coaching staff or of the Oilers systems or whatever, I mean, he's not wrong. This post made on the Edmonton Oilers subreddit, a whole bunch of people are agreeing. Yeah, the Oilers kept trying the same thing over and over again, banging their heads against the wall. It was the dump and chase, it was the weak clears, it was trying to force things down low, it was the board battles. A lot of things went wrong for the Edmonton Oilers, and they didn't really do much to fix it. Chris Knobloch, a lot of people going out there talking about him and his strategies. Yeah, they got to the finals, but what happens when you're in there? You don't adjust. Not only does the power play not convert as much as it should, but the Oilers also allow Florida to take advantage of the small pockets of space and time that they need. Even yesterday, Edmonton has all the momentum. They get the first few opportunities, they get the first little possession of zone time. Boom. First chance Florida has, and it's in the back of the net. It's just momentum, and it's just this team not being able to capitalize on any of the momentum heading their way. And Connor McDavid, unfortunately, seems to have realized that. And so, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about McDavid's post-playoffs comments, I guess you could say? This is not the full thing, or at least I would bet that it's not the full thing. Because, I mean, look, they're going to have to do another presser. They have to do the entire full 30-minute sit-down thing. The comments from yesterday were just after the game. So, with all that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Connor McDavid and his response towards the end of the series. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.